Sir, you are not audible.
Guys, when I audible to you,
The volume is a bit low.
now fine.
Yes.
Okay. We'll just start in a moment. Okay, so you're all from English 1, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, sure. Thank you. So, just checking because this one is mostly for the English 1 students. I'm sure this is not posted for others, but uh, maybe there are chances that sometimes the links get shared. Okay, so I'm not going to be keeping the video on for all the time, but I'm just trying to uh, keep it here so that we can talk a little bit about this and then we get to the workshop itself, right? So for this one, we only have it for 2 days anyway, today and tomorrow. And it's a 1.5 hour session, 1.5 hour session each. So we're going to be dealing with very few topics. So as the name suggests, it's called basic writing skills, right? So I'll just take you through what we'll be covering in this one mostly. We'll have, I think, three mini lessons. The last one is basically editing and all that. We're not going to do in detail, but we'll just touch upon, what it is. But as a matter of fact, we'll have three sessions, by which I mean 3 sessions of mini lessons. Okay, we have only 2 sessions for the workshop, but within that, we'll be taking up 3 sessions, right? So one of it, two of them will happen today, right? Two mini lessons would happen today. The first one would be introduction to the basic tenets in writing, where we are going to discuss development of a paragraph and essentials of a paragraph. You'll see this topic in detail, I think in your module number 11. Which module has 12? Okay. Module 12, which is like the last module for your, I'm sure that is not released yet for you. So you can take this as a entry point for understanding what those lectures are about, right? So those are on professional writing. So there's going to be some kind of overlap between these two. Okay. It's still connected, right? You can hear me. Yes?
Ma'am, in the end term examination, will there be a set of, writing skill test or something? Means,
No, no, no,
have,
no, no. You don't have a space for testing writing the way it is designed. which is why we do additional sessions like this so that there is some flavor in that for you. We cannot have a full-fledged thing running, even to test you. So there are other sessions that are organized so that there's some amount of this happening. Okay. So no, not for the exam. You will have questions from the lectures, say something that is more theoretical, or they'll give you a question and ask you to work on it as directed, like you have other questions, but nothing to write down as an Excel. That is not, we don't have that built in the system. Okay. So, yeah, so as I was saying, so that module 12 will have a couple of things that we're going to discuss in detail. So it's going to talk to you about a few of the things we'll discuss here at length. So I'm not going to say everything that has been a part of that one because, of course, I don't want to be repetitive. So for our purpose, we are just going to touch upon a few things and see how you see this practically implemented in the paragraph, right? Now, why paragraph? You can always ask, why are we talking about paragraph? We are talking about basic writing skills. Shouldn't we be beginning with a sentence, right? Instead of talking about a paragraph. But although sentence is like the basic unit as far as writing is concerned, language is concerned. Again, there could be difference of opinions. People would say no, there are other basic components. But in modern learning systems, especially language teaching systems, uh, a sentence is what is considered as the most meaningful basic unit, right? Because words, although they have meanings, their meanings do not exist in isolation. Most of the times, you make sense of the things only when these words appear in a sentence, right? It gives you more sense, a wholesome meaning, only when these words can be put together using certain rules or patterns in a sentence. So, as far as the language teaching part is concerned, a lot many uh, teachers or lot many educators would believe that sentence is where it begins. Sentence is what is going to give you meaningful constructions. There are opposing viewpoints, right? People would say no, it's not always a sentence. Sometimes even fragments can give you meaning. But we're not going to debate on that. For our purposes, we're going to consider it that, right? Because that is like the entry point. That is where we actually test whether someone can understand a given language, right? The test would be that if you're able to construct one grammatical meaningful sentence in the language. Similarly, for writing, writing, as you know, is more of an advanced skill. It's not a basic skill, right? Although workshop says basic writing skills, however, you should understand that writing is not a basic skill as far as language learning is concerned, right? It's more of an advanced skill. It's something that, as you say, it is a skill, right? Unlike, say, speaking or listening, reading and writing are advanced, or they are, in some sense, we can also say not a very necessary skill, right? Not a very necessary thing. As far as language is concerned, if you're able to speak it, if you're able to listen and understand, then that is considered basic, right? Speech is the most basic. These are called skills for the reason that these are not necessary. You don't have to know how to write to exist. All you need to know is how to speak. But since we are either already professionals or we are wannabe professionals, or we are going to do some kind of job in a capacity where you will have to communicate to people. Maybe if not even not in the professional space, you might be somebody who wants to, express your thoughts through writing than speaking because, you are nervous or you do not like expression through thoughts, sorry, expression through speech, and you're someone who prefers more of journaling or say writing a blog or something of that sort, writing becomes important if that is the case. Okay? So if that is what the thing is, even for any basic writing, like sending out a message to someone, there are certain tenets or certain structure that you need to follow while you put all of these sentences together, right? Uh, for that reason, we consider paragraph as the basic unit whenever it comes to knowing how to write. Right? People could say, if I know how to write a sentence, then I know to write. But that's not how it works because writing is expression of thoughts. And mostly a sentence or two doesn't work. in many of the cases, right? It's more of a longer format when you say writing, right? And for that purpose, paragraphs, whether long or short, are the basic units that one must, as a learner, know how to write, right? Paragraph writing is a must for any beginner who's trying to write anything basic in English, right? Which is the reason why we're going to begin talking about paragraphs, how to write a paragraph, in the sense, what are the essential components of a paragraph? When I write a paragraph, what are the things that I must ensure that my paragraph has to make it a paragraph in first place, right? So that would be the discussion about development and essentials, right? How does the development of a paragraph take place, and what are those essential components that you require to build a paragraph? Right? So that is going to be the discussion for the first session, or the first mini lesson is going to be on that part, right? Um, so we'll look at that. We'll begin with that and then move on to the activities, right? Second session, of course, is going to talk about which we'll do today itself, right? Because tomorrow I want to keep it entirely for discussing on descriptive writing. I want to mostly finish up the strategies part and everything today, so that we do not have to uh, waste time on this tomorrow, right? Or rather, we have more time to work on the descriptive part tomorrow than focusing on the basic ones. So, second session for today then is going to talk to you about certain principles that are essential in writing. So, once you have the components or the elements that you require to put a paragraph together, what are certain processes that you need to keep in mind while you put these sentences together into the paragraph, right? So random ordering of a few sentences about the topic is not going to give you a well-defined paragraph. So we're going to look at the processes that are essential or that are in place while you put these sentences together, and what are some basic strategies that you can use in order to build a good paragraph, right? So this is what we are going to uh, work on, okay, for today's quiz. So we'll have it integrated with certain activities as well. Okay. So once we finish the first session, we're going to look at some questions, and then after that, we are again going to come back to session two, which is on strategies and processes, and then take up the activities based on that. Okay. So this is how the class is going to work. Um, so let's begin with it. I see someone's hand was raised, but it was then lowered. I hope you had no questions. And what is this? Some questions. Okay, so uh, just let me know in case you find it difficult, or difficult in the sense if you can't see the slides clearly or something. Uh, there could be disruptions once in a while because of the network, but today mostly it is okay, so I don't think there should be a problem. If there's anything, especially with respect to the slides or know uh, the audio, just let me know. Okay? In case it's not very audible, I'm wearing a Bluetooth, so in case you can't hear it clearly, I'll just take it off, because this one sometimes can act a little funny. In case you can't hear properly, just let me know. Okay. So we'll begin for today. Uh, Basic tenets of writing. So, like we just discussed, we are going to focus on the paragraph development part. So, development and organization of paragraph. Now, what is the difference between development
What is the
and
meaning of the word tenet?
tenet means elements, so the basic structures or elements that are required for writing, or also principles. Some people would say that, but here it means elements, or elements or basic factors that affect your writing, or that you need to build up writing. Okay, right. So develop and organize paragraphs. So what do you think would be the difference between the development and organization of a paragraph? Right? Any idea how they are going to be different? So development should be clear, right? So by development, we basically mean that we are talking about, putting things together. What are the components that you require to build a paragraph, which we'll see in a short while. But what do you think is organization? When you have a piece of information, there are different ways in which you can organize it, right? So depending on what kind of information you have. So sometimes you can organize the information you have in a chronological order. Sometimes you can organize it in, say, spatial order, right? Depending on the space. So for example, you are giving a direction to someone to go to the airport or to go to the shopping mall, right? Uh, the choice of sentences, the choice of words are going to be more spatially arranged than anything else, right? So you choose a particular way of arranging your information, the bunch of information that you have, based on what you want to express to the listener or the reader, right? So that part is called organization. So you can either organize your thoughts or your sentences chronologically, spatially, temporally based on the time, or you can do that in such a way that you can create a compare and contrast, arrangement or a cause and effect mode of arrangement, right? Something that you will most um commonly see in textbooks or academic discourses, right? Where you introduce new concepts, give examples, definitions, then compare and contrast. So these your information that you have based on the nature of that information, you can arrange it in different ways, right? And this arrangement is going to give it a more organized approach, or what you also call is readability. If somebody is reading what you have written, your work becomes more readable when it is organized. Just having the components, just developing a paragraph using the few components will not be enough. You'll have to find a suitable method to organize or suitable way of organizing, pattern to organize this information so that the reader can understand and comprehend it clearly. Right? So this is what we mean by organization. And while you organize, you have certain processes in place. You need to ensure that it is used, like how you see on the screen, unity and cohesion, right? We'll discuss unity and cohesion in the second uh, mini lesson. But all of this put together is what is going to make an effective paragraph, right? So basic part is achieving this. As far as paragraph writing or basic writing is concerned, these things, right? Basic components of building a paragraph, organization of that information in a certain way, and ensuring that the written paragraph is both unified and cohesive are what makes for good writing, basic paragraph writing. Okay, this is the most basic. Only after this is done would you take a look at your paragraph and look for appropriate writing style and tone. Right now, writing style and tone is different. Right, if you're approaching a document that is more professional in nature, then your tone is going to be formal. Your choice of words are going to be more formal. For example, you're not going to use too many uh, phrasal verbs, or you're not going to use contracted forms if you're writing a formal piece of write-up, right? Like say you're writing a report, or you're writing a professional email, or you're writing a proposal, right? A business proposal or a research proposal. You won't use a lot of phrasal verbs, or you will not use a lot of contracted forms, short forms, right? Like I or we or you are. You won't use slangs or colloquial words. You will not use vague references like kind of, sort of, right? These are all explained in that lecture. You will get a better glimpse of what it means to write professionally in that. But in writing that is written otherwise, right? The non-professional ones or non-technical writing, as you say, you will see the use of all of these components, right? So based on what you're writing on, you choose your style, and style includes your choice of words, your register. Register basically means whether you're going to use a formal register or an informal register, right? Using a formal register and your choice of words is then going to give a different tone to your writing. You're using more casual, more creative sort of words, then it is going to make it more creative, right? And more personal in tone. But if you're going to use more formal words or expressions, then it's going to create an objective tone, or what is also called an impersonal tone, right? Or if you're writing to provoke thoughts, right? You're not writing just to inform, but you also want people to think about it. You choose words and sentences in such a way that you create an ironic tone with the help of the uh, words, right? So using the same language, right, using the almost similar set of words, you can produce different kind of writing, right? A writing that is more intellectual in tone, something that is ironic in tone, something that is impersonal or personal in tone. All of this can be created using the same language. You just adjust the choice of your words to suit that particular purpose, right? So all of this thing happens after your paragraph is written, right? Once you have decided what you want to write upon and what is your approach to writing that paragraph, you can decide on what style you do, right? So that forms the second element in writing. Third, of course, is clarity of ideas. Of course, clarity of ideas is very commonly related to your choice of words and vocabulary, right? So if you're going to say talk about artificial intelligence, for example, or data science to a set of people who are specialized audience, like say your classmates or your professors, the vocabulary that you're going to use or the choice of words that you're going to use in writing or in speech is going to be very different from, say, when you're going to talk about it to your parents, okay, or your friends who are not from the field, or say a child for that matter who doesn't understand what data science or AI is, right? So you change your vocabulary or your choice of words based on also your audience, right? Why do you do that? Because clarity of ideas is very, very important, whether you're writing or speaking, right? So for that purpose, you need to also ensure once you're done with your paragraph, writing an organization and choosing the style that you require to write it down. Third thing that you need to ensure is that there is a good clarity of the idea that you presented. And how would you check that? You're going to look back at the choice of your word and your vocabulary and see if you've used uh, words that are too technical if it is for an audience that is not technical, or if you have kept it too simple for an audience that is actually technical and understands the things better. Right? So checking on this will give a better clarity of writing. And last is, of course, there is no prize for even explaining or knowing these things. Spelling and grammar. Right? This might sound a little underrated, or people are like, why should we bother? Anyway, we have too many things to check your spelling and grammar and everything. It's not a bothersome process. Of course, it's not a bothersome process in the age that we live, but having facilities or resources to check it and people actually doing it are two different things, right? Even 10 years ago or 15 years ago, if you see, there were enough resources to do all this check. But you will still see people who would not take these things seriously and so they don't check it. So for that matter, because we see that this is a tendency among writers to ignore such things, it has to be reiterated or it has to be specifically mentioned that, as a part of writing, you also need to ensure that your spelling and grammar is in place. Okay? So these four form your basic tenets or factors or elements of how you write a good paragraph or a good write up on any topic. Okay. For our purpose, for our session, we are going to take up specifically descriptive writing, which will happen tomorrow. There's also narrative writing, but I'm not going into the narrative writing thing because narrative writing sometimes gets a little overly creative. And since this is not a workshop on that, and since we are only keeping it as a basic writing
Ma'am,
skill, we're not going to.
ma'am, would you please tell me what is the difference between descriptive writing and narrative writing?
I will tell you. Let me first finish on this. I'm just getting into that in that just a moment. So, see, we are not going to take up that part because that will require other elements, right? We'll have to discuss a lot more elements to talk about narrative writing. Descriptive writing is more basic. Descriptive, what is descriptive writing? For example, I show you, remote like this, right? I ask you describe this remote for me, okay? Or I show you a simple object like a pen, or I show my photo to you and tell you that you write something about me, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to write about various aspects, right? You can choose to write about it. So, for example, if it's a remote, you choose to write about either the remote or if this is something that holds some value for you, say somebody gifted this, right? Say somebody gifted the AC and the remote together or whatever, right? So you try to describe it from that point of view as something that is valuable to you because somebody who's valuable to you gifted this, or you're going to give a very plain description of this as a gadget, right? That depends. But whatever your attitude or whatever you are taking it as, essentially, what are you going to do? You're going to describe, which means you're going to talk about either its features, or you're going to talk about how you feel about it, or what is your attitude about it, or you're going to talk about its physical appearance, or what it is made up of, right? All of that will form your description, right? That is what the difference between description. Now, narrative writing, will it not have description? Yes, narrative writing will also have description, right? But narrative writing, the additional thing in narration would be that there needs to be what? A story, right? So if you're narrating something, which means you have to essentially build a story when you're writing it. It needs to have a beginning, it needs to have rising action, falling action, and then a conclusion or a resolution sort of thing. That's how all stories, like how you see a movie, right? A movie's plot, how is it? How does the plot of a movie work? There is a beginning to it, like there's a background, there's a setting, there's a beginning, then there's a rising action, there's a falling action. Rising action, falling action is basically whatever happens in the middle, right? There's an event, it escalates, then some issue happens, then there's a resolution, and finally there is a conclusion or what we call as climax, like very dramatic. Similarly, in narrative writing, there is a dramatic effect when you write it, right? Because you're narrating, you're storytelling. That's not the case with descriptive writing. Descriptive writing can be very clear, right? Like how you see your textbooks, right? That is an example. What you see in your textbook is basically descriptive writing. It is talking about, say, a particular phenomenon, or it's talking about a certain concept. It is descriptive in nature, right? But it lacks the luster of a story. It's not engaging, right? It's not something that can catch people's attention and make people sit down and read. So description can be plain descriptive writing is this. It is going to be quite straightforward. It's going to be full of all this information, giving you like every single detail of how a certain object or a person or a setting or a place looks like, right? Mostly about how it looks like and what you think about it or what you feel about it. Okay. Narrative will have more creative, more dramatic elements. Okay. I think Snehanshu, right? You're asking about difference between descriptive and narrative writing. Okay, this is
Yes.
the basic difference. Okay, right. So we are not going to do narrative writing because we require too many strategies and too much of discussions on how to make people write a narrative paragraph or to get to narrative writing. Descriptive is easy since this is a basic writing skills workshop. It's better we use that because this is an entry point. Once you know how to write a descriptive paragraph, narrative is just picking up on a few skills to build a story or weave a story. Okay. So these are the 4 tenets. Now we move on to the first part, which is developed and organized paragraph. So we're going to look at what makes a paragraph, or how you develop a paragraph, right? What are the components? So like you see here, it has topic sentence, supporting sentences, and concluding sentence. Okay. Sentence or sentences. Okay. So we're going to first discuss that, and then we're going to talk about the second mini lesson, which is unity and cohesion. But before that, we'll do some activities as well. So topic sentence, as the name suggests, this is the sentence in a paragraph that makes or gives you the claims of the topic of a sentence. It makes some claim about the topic of that particular paragraph, right? So what does it mean? It's basically something that directly communicates you the main point or the purpose or what is in question. What am I writing about? Right? It declares the topic to the reader. Right? This is the reason why we call it topic sentence. Topic sentence has 2 parts. One is the topic of the paragraph, and second is the main idea of the paragraph. Right? okay, where is this? Right. So topic sentence comprises of topic and the main idea of the paragraph. So it will tell you, it will also reveal it reveals the topic and also reveals the main idea. Now, what do we mean by main idea? How is topic and main idea different from each other? Any idea? Can you comment on that? Do you think you will be able to talk about it? How are topic and main idea different from each other? Say I have a sentence like, Bougainvillea, uh, Bougainvillea looks beautiful, particularly during the summer, right? If this is the sentence. Okay? Bougainvillea looks beautiful, particularly during the summer. What is the topic of the sentence? What do you think is the topic of the sentence?
Just what you stated is the topic.
No, that is the topic sentence, for example. So, or let's not call it the topic sentence. We'll just keep it as a sentence, right? Any ordinary sentence. Uh, what is the topic in this sentence? What is being spoken about? Whatever is being spoken about will be the topic.
Bougainvillea.
Somebody asks you what's the topic. Yeah, Bougainville, right? Somebody asks you what is the topic of this sentence. The automatic answer should be Bougainvillea because that is what is being referred to. So Bougainvillea is your topic. Now the rest of the sentence looks beautiful, particularly during the summer. What is this part? This is something like an opinion, right? I'm saying that this flower, or I am, or whoever is, making the statement. The person is saying that here is something called Bougainvillea. There's a flower called Bougainvillea, and this flower particularly looks beautiful during the summer. So the second part of it, looks beautiful particularly during the summer. This is an attitude, right? This is basically an opinion that is expressed by the writer. This is called the main idea, right? Because we are going to read something definitely about Bougainvillea if this is a paragraph. We're going to read something more on Bougainvillea, and we're particularly going to read about, uh, you know, its beauty during the summertime, right? Something related to this part, which is why this is called the main idea. Main idea is basically that part of the topic sentence which tells you about the attitude or the opinion or the general theme of that paragraph, right? Topic and theme are two different things, right? Topic is anything. A is the topic, but what people think or feel or what their attitude towards it is what forms the theme of the paragraph. Okay? So, this is why we say a topic sentence would consist of both the topic and the main idea, because that is where, or that is what is going to help you build the rest of the paragraph, right? You need to begin somewhere. So just having a topic like Bougainvillea, it's not enough for somebody to write the rest of the sentences in the paragraph. But when you also have the main idea along with the topic, you can you can look for what kind of sentences or what more sentences can I add to this in order to make it a full paragraph, right? Understood the difference between topic and main idea? Yes, no? Any question? Okay. So basically, topic sentence is then that which makes a claim about the topic in question, right? And arguably, how this would work is that once we have made this topic sentence, the rest of the paragraph should be able to either prove, explain, elaborate, or add to what has already been mentioned in the topic sentence, right? So the rest of the sentences that you see in the paragraph would be basically an addition or an elaboration or a proof or some kind of a reasoning that you give for this topic sentence that you have written. Okay, so that is how this works. And like I mentioned, it gives you the overall attitude of the paragraph because we just discussed that main idea and topic is what makes your topic sentence. So the major work of this main idea is also to communicate the attitude or the feelings or the opinion of the writer to the reader, right? So this is what makes the topic sentence of a paragraph. I have an example for you here. Just look at this um, excerpt on screen and read that. Just take a minute and read that, and you tell me what you think is the topic sentence for this paragraph. Just read it quietly and tell me what you think among the, I think, three sentences that you have here. Which one do you think is the topic sentence? Okay, just take a minute and read that. Okay, so what do you think would be the topic sentence here? So you have millennials, those born between the early 1980s and the early 1990s make up a huge part of our workforce, but they seem to lack loyalty to the companies and the leaders they work for. Multinational companies are noticing larger turnover rates of millennials as employee retention rates fall. This report looks at the findings of two large-scale surveys on the mindset of the millennial generation and explores how organizations can strive to address these needs, increase employee engagement, and encourage retention. What do you think among this would be? You can give whatever your answer is. We are going to look at how do you find out, what would be the topic sentence? How is it possible for us to do? What are some strategies we can use? We'll look at it. But what do you think after having read this that is a possible topic sentence of the paragraph given here? So this is the next step. There are more. This is basically taken from an essay or sorry, an article. So this is only a part of that, one paragraph of that. So we're trying to find out the topic sentence for just this paragraph only. Which among this sentence do you think uh, is a possible or a suitable topic sentence? Yes.
The first sentence, ma'am.
The first sentence, millennials, those born between the early 1980s and the early, they make up a huge part of our workforce, but they seem to lack loyalty. Uh, why do you think this is the topic sentence? Is there a specific reason?
Because the rest of the paragraph both
Hmm.
includes why it might be the case and what could be a suitable solution to it.
Correct. So it's basically an addition to the claim that is, or basically this is something that is, the sentences tell you, give you additional information plus the reasons for the claim that is being made in the topic sentence, which is they lack, loyalty to the companies and the leaders they work for, right? And it's about the millennials. Millennials is your topic, and they make up a huge part of our workforce, but they seem to lack loyalty to the companies and leaders they work for is your main idea. Take care, right? Now, how do we come about with this? In case it is confusing for us, this is like an easier paragraph, so it's not very difficult for us to figure out the topic sentence. Sometimes what happens, your topic sentence is not always the first sentence you see in the paragraph, right? So we have different kinds of write-up, right? Some people would prefer to move from, say, general to particular. Somebody will move from particular to general. And this is about the organization of sentences. Some people would give you all the details and then will make the final statement, right? And that sentence would be the one which carries the topic and the main idea, right? So some would state it in the beginning, right? Generally, and then write about the particulars of it. So people use different methods to organize and arrange the information. Why did I say this? Because it's not the case that in all paragraphs, the first sentence would be your topic sentence. In fact, you can have topic sentence in the beginning or at the end of the paragraph, or sometimes even in the middle or somewhere else in the paragraph, right? So wherever the placement of your topic sentence is, you can identify it easily if you're going to keep a few things in mind, right? What are these things? That's what we are going to look at. So if you're going to look at the topic sentence, looking for the topic sentence in the paragraph, these are few questions that you can ask yourself to rightly identify the topic sentence, right? Not just identification, but when you're writing paragraphs by yourself, these are few questions that you can ask yourself to make sure that you're writing an effective topic sentence, right? So what's the first one? What is the paragraph mostly about? So what are we doing here? Our exercise is to find out what is the topic, right? So this question is directly pointing towards finding out what the topic of the paragraph is, right? What is the paragraph mostly about? You know, what is being mentioned mostly about? Second, what phrase or word do you see repeated often? What is that particular word or phrase that is being repeated at least twice, thrice, or maybe sometimes more than that in the given paragraph? Why are we doing this exercise? Because if something is being oft repeated, then most probably that is the topic in question. Okay, otherwise it won't be repeated. This repetition is also like a strategy. We'll talk about it when we get there. But for the moment, you can look for phrases or words that are being repeated often in the paragraph, which serves as an indication that that particular phrase or word would be the one that is the topic of the paragraph, right? Third thing, what single word can you use to describe the paragraph? Right. So somebody asks you, you're given a question, like if you say you're looking at a paragraph like this, right? Somebody asks you, can you give me a phrase or just a word about, what this paragraph is about? Then whatever you are going to, answer is going to be the topic of that paragraph, right? Because you can't give anything else. For example, in this one, you have several things here, right? There are very heavy words like employee retention, fall of the rate of employee retention, loyalty, workforce, right? Organizations, employee engagement, um, you know. While all of these words exist, you still know if somebody asks you actually what is this paragraph about, you can give it in one single word. What is that word? Or a phrase, maybe. It's not a word. What is that single word or phrase that you can use to talk about this paragraph, even when you have all these, other words there? What could it be? Something that
Millennials at workplace.
millennials at workplace, or if you're not looking at that, then millennial behavior at workplace, anything, right? So if I'm going to ask you what is this paragraph about, then one of this is going to be your answer. So this is what this also points at, right? What is that single word or phrase that you can use to describe the paragraph, right? And then what is the big idea of the paragraph? Now this is directly towards the main idea. This question helps you answer both the topic as well as what is the main idea which forms the topic sentence, right? So these four questions you can use overall to understand what the paragraph is about, right? This is helpful for both the reader and the writer, because as a writer, you also need clarity on what you're writing about, right? You ask these questions to yourself before you sit down to write something. It gives you a better clarity on um, what you should write. Okay, what are the sentences that you should include? What are the sentences that you think is irrelevant to the topic or the idea that is being discussed? All this decision can be made based on these questions, right? If you can have answers, you ask these questions to yourself. Based on their answers, you can decide on what you have to include, what sentences you should include in the paragraph in order to provide better clarity, right? And to keep it more cohesive. So this is that part. Then identification of main ideas. There are two additional questions that you can use. One is, what is the author saying about the topic, right? So you have the topic, and to determine what is the main idea, you ask a question like, what is the author saying about the topic? What is the attitude of the speaker about what he's saying, right? Is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it something else? Is the author expressing a particular feeling about it? Is the author, does the author have no opinion on it? Because, say, probably I'm only describing a pen. I'm just very plainly describing an object. I don't have an opinion. I'm just writing, state of art things about the pen. That this is a Reynolds pen. This is a gel pen, right? It's blue in color. Am I just, writing something of that sort, which is, more like a straightforward description, or am I also writing what I feel about this, right? So all of this is what this is about the pen or the topic, right? So that forms the main idea. That becomes that makes up for the main idea of the paragraph, which when put together with the topic gives you your topic sentence, right? So these questions you can ask: what is the author saying about the topic? What is the author's attitude or overall attitude about the topic in question? What does the author feel about the topic in question? What do the details explain about the topic? What are the details that I have in the paragraph hinting towards? So you can discover the main idea by looking at the supporting sentences and other sentences in the paragraph also. So like you were saying, the rest of the sentence, if you look at, that is giving you some reason for why the millennials behave the way they behave, right? So then automatically you know that, okay, this is about the millennials. And what about the millennials? It's about their behavior at workplace, right? So taking a look at the other sentence also gives you a hint about what your main idea is in the topic sentence, right? This we looked at. Okay, so this is overall about how you determine and how you write a good topic sentence, right? So whatever we discussed is for both identification while you're a reader and also as a writer when you're writing something on your own, right? All of these questions that we've discussed is going to directly help you even write down a better topic statement, right? A sentence, right? Any questions here, or can we discuss supporting sentence? Okay, all good. Fine. So let's look at the supporting sentence. So this is the second component. So as far as development of paragraphs are concerned, the first important part is your topic sentence. The second thing that needs to be discussed about are supporting sentences, right? Now these form what you call as the body of the paragraph, right? This is the main part because this is where you're going to, you know, argue for the claims that you have made in the topic sentence, right? This part is responsible for holding the paragraph together, right? It has to give enough details, furnish enough information so that the topic sentence fits well into the paragraph. So this kind of glues the main idea in the topic sentence to fit the paragraph. Now, what is the nature of a supporting sentence? What kind of sentences become supporting sentences? Statements that are reasoning statements, right? So sentences that can reason with the topic sentence. Sentences that provide facts, data, statistics, quotations, okay, or examples, right? Quotations, because quotations can add strength to your argument, okay? If you suppose Sidley made a claim in your topic sentence, to prove that point or to add to what you've already said, quotations are helpful. They help you bind that properly to your paragraph. Facts, data, statistics exactly do the same thing. Again, they can also elaborate on or prove or explain a point that is being discussed in the topic sentence. Examples again perform the same functions. So if you look at these supporting sentences in the paragraphs, mostly they are of one of these kind, right? So they are either statements that make reasons or statements that include facts, data, statistics, or their quotations or their statements that give you examples and so on. Now, whatever they are, whether you use one of these things, whether it's just reasoning statements or just example statements or quotations or facts, data, statistics statements, whatever you're using, maybe on their own or sometimes in combination, right? Sometimes you have reasons and examples both given. Sometimes you have quotations, examples, reasons, all of them given, right? Sometimes you have all the four: data, statistics, quotations, reasons, examples, everything given together, right? Whether you use them in isolation or independently or you use them all together, all of these statements of four different orders as you see here, what do they essentially do? Their task or their function is to add to the statement that is your topic sentence or explain the claim that is made in the topic sentence, elaborate upon what is being said in the topic statement, or prove upon it, right? So, for example, I made a statement and you need to prove it. Then you're going to use either reasons, examples, quotations, facts, data, statistics to do the same thing. Even if it is for elaboration, explanation, or adding, again, you can use the same, right? So functionally, supporting sentences, what do? They add, explain, elaborate, or prove. And how do they do that? They use these reasons, facts, data, statistics, patient example to achieve that part, right? Uh, as far as the length, or I mean, we say the length of the paragraph and the number of supporting sentences are concerned, if you are wondering, then it could be somewhere between 4 to 5 sentences in a short paragraph, right? In a smaller paragraph. If it's a bigger paragraph, then it can go up to 6 or 7 sentences, right? So 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. Is this a fixed thing? More or less. This is like a general, how do I put it? This is like more like a directive on how to write a paragraph, the length of the paragraph, right? This is not fixed. This is not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes, say, particularly if you're writing research papers or you're writing a longer format essay, people sometimes tend to write a little longer also. If you're writing something like a report, then people will keep their paragraphs shorter. So whatever the case is, uh, a tentative number of sentences that one can use to describe or to write down a sentence would be 4 to 5 for smaller paragraphs and 6 to 7 sentences for a longer paragraph, right? This is tentative again. I'm telling you, this is not hard and fast. Of course, your format and the topic that you're dealing with and what medium you're writing for, your purpose for your writing will all dictate the length. But in general, this is how you look at it, right? So these are your supporting sentences. Just take a look at this excerpt that you have on screen. You will have a set of sentences which act as supporting sentences for your uh, previous paragraph. Just take a look at them. Just read through, just to make you understand, how supporting sentences are written in a paragraph. Okay. I think it should be clear enough from what is written there. Right? It's not very difficult to understand. It basically tells you what that report tells you, right? So more than 40,000 millennial, non-millennial responses collected on working child space structure. Separate global survey conducted by Deloitte. More than 10,000 millennials participated in a study about their perceptions of the threats and opportunities in the complex world of work. All of them are basically what? What are they doing? Are they explaining or are they proving something? What does it look like to you? Are these reasons or are they, sort of additions or elaborations to this problem of, workplace, millennials' behavior at workplace? Any reasons as of now, or is it just like, additions and elaborations?
No reasons.
No reasons, right? They're more like they're adding to what they've already said. So just picking out the, various kind of surveys or researches that are conducted to study this, right? So basically establishing the fact that this is a real phenomenon and there are studies on this, right? So there's more of elaboration, no reasons as of now. Right? But in maybe say a different kind of writing setup, people might give reasons also. This is like I told you, there are reasons in this, but I have not chosen that particular excerpt. This is a longer essay on this workplace behavior. So maybe in the other paragraphs they do have reasons, but the one that we just looked at only has elaborations on the claim, right? It does not say why or it does not give you a reason. Just to show you an example, of course, there will be reasons in the actual essay. Now, the last part, the last component of this would be what? The concluding sentence, right? So you have topic, then your supporting sentences, and finally the concluding sentence. Concluding sentences, especially in essay formats, they are not always, you don't find a concluding sentence in every single paragraph. That's not how it works. If it is a standalone paragraph, say, I asked you to write about, like, the example that we took, right? Say, I asked you to write you something descriptively on the remote. That will have a kind of a concluding statement, right? But if I'm asking you to write about workplace behavior, then it's of course going to be a longer essay with say 7-8 paragraphs. There, I don't expect you to write a concluding statement for every paragraph that you're writing. Okay? It will have a concluding paragraph which is going to summarize whatever you have written. And maybe say the introduction paragraph is going to have a concluding statement. But not every single paragraph that you write there is going to have a concluding statement. But standalone paragraph, if I'm saying you just write one paragraph on something, then that needs to necessarily have a concluding sentence, right? Now, how do our concluding sentence look, right? We have an idea of how supporting sentences look. What kind of sentences can become concluding sentences in a paragraph? A sentence that makes a prediction, right? Something that can make a prediction about, say, you're working on an AI model and then you say that, okay, this AI model can do this, so on and so forth, right? So predictive statements, they can be good, a suitable kind for making a concluding statement. Recommendations, okay, a sentence that recommends for something. Usually, say in the case of a report, right? You're supposed to wind up the reports and proposals giving recommendations to the readers. So those kind of sentences also are considered concluding sentences. Suggestions, recommendation suggestions, same thing, right? Anything that makes suggestions about something can also be considered concluding statements. If not any of these, then something that simply reinstates or summarizes what has already been said in the topic sentence can also be your concluding sentence, right? Or a final observation. Say I was writing something like an opinion paragraph, right? I was writing something about how I feel about this pen or my opinion about what this is. In such cases, a final observation from the side of the writer can also be the concluding sentence, right? So these are the few different ways in which concluding sentences can appear in a paragraph, right? Okay, so again, excerpt just to show you the example of how this particular topic that we looked at of millennials at workplace can have a concluding sentence. Can you read through and tell me what kind of sentence does this fit in from the choice we have yet? So we had prediction, recommendation, suggestion, final observation, summary, right? What do you think these sentences are doing? Are they doing any of these, or are they a different kind of concluding sentence? Just read it and tell me. Pretty simple, right? You can identify what kind of concluding sentences we have adopted. What is it? They're more
like a resolution, ma'am, suggestion.
suggestion or recommendation sorts, right? So this particular writer has adopted the recommendation suggestion style of concluding sentence, right? Concluding statement, whatever you want to call it. But of course, like we saw, there could be other possibilities or other options too, like writing a predictive sentence or writing a summary sentence or final observation, so on and so forth. Okay. Good. So I am going to share that or do we have it here? Okay. So I thought of making you work on this in the clear deck file, but I think since there is nothing much to answer, you basically just need to pick the things, right? So can you look at these sentences and tell me, read all of them? And I think there are a few options provided in that. Can you look at these sentences and tell me which of the sentences that you have here would be considered supporting sentences? Topic sentence is already given, right? Artificial intelligence with a written or oral interface is supposed to make our lives easier in the future. You have three sentences after that. Which among them do you think would serve as the supporting sentences? I think we have three questions like this. And then we'll move on to the second part. Just read through and tell me which ones, according to you, look like supporting sentences. So you have assistants such as Siri and Galaxy already allow smartphone functions to be operated via language recognition and synthesis software, while Amazon's Alexa dialogue systems will soon be controlling our smartphones. It therefore seems natural to take advantage of innovative technologies and foreign language teaching tools. AI is not only used to give a verbal command to one smartphone to play a particular playlist, but also features in far more complex scenarios such as online games and interactive toys with a language interface. Sorry. So, which among these do you think serve as supporting sentences?
First and third.
First and third, yeah, is that what others also think? Right, mostly it's first and third, right? It is there. Sorry, it therefore seems natural to take advantage. Sounds more like a concluding statement, right? More like a summary statement. So 1 and 3 would be your supporting sentences. Okay. I hope others don't have a question on that. Okay. Now you have the second one. This could be a little confusing, but it's not very difficult. Just read through that. Topic sentences. The Victorian era is known for the galaxy of female novelists. That is your topic sentence. Okay. So your topic is, what's your topic here? Female novelist, right? And then the rest of it is your main idea. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 sentences. You need to find out which among them are supporting sentences.
First, second, fourth, fifth.
Okay. Right. Any idea? Have you been able to figure out?
It might be last option.
Last option is what your no. So supporting sentences could be there has to be at least four of them. Let's just say that this is not a paragraph which would have a your conventional concluding sentence. But definitely there would be something that is not that doesn't look like a sentence that can be used as a supporting sentence. So what did we talk about it? It has to add, elaborate, prove, right, or explain. So if you find a sentence that does not do any of the four, then probably that sentence is out. Okay? Is there a sentence like that here? So Charlotte Bront, Emily, all of that, of course, it's one of the important supporting sentences, right? Because it's adding to who are these galaxy of female novels, right? Then how about they're also in jumbled order? Probably that's why you are not able to find it out exactly. I had a different idea when I put this in this order, but it's okay. I think we can still work on it. So of the four, the next sentence should have been of the four, the two first named were sisters, and their methods and achievements is novelists met at many places. Okay, but each of the remaining two prized her own line and made herself on the field of English novel in her own way. This is about Gaskell and Jordan. Okay, then comes. They also include Mrs. Trollope, Mrs. Gore, and so on and so forth. And then the last one is, however, the four most important women novelists who yet are quite important are so on and so forth, right? So why is that non-relevant or more than non-relevant? Why do we consider that as not something that supports? Because we've already mentioned that, right? They are already mentioned. We're simply reiterating the part that these four people are actually very, very important. Look at the first sentence, are in prime focus, right? And look at the fourth sentence, the four most important are so on and so forth. So aren't they both one and the same, more or less the same? Yes or no? They're saying the same thing basically, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So then the fourth one is basically your concluding sentence, which is basically restating what is being said in the beginning. So one, two, 3 and 5, right? 1, 2, 3, and 5, which is not there in the option for some odd reason, but yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 5 are going to be your uh, supporting sentences. Okay, 4 is like a concluding sentence, a restatement sorts. Okay, uh, okay. Third one, this should be easy for you. There are only 3 sentences. Can you read through and tell me which among the two you think is a supporting statement? Object permanence. Yeah, which one? Which one do you think is the supporting sentence, according to Piaget, or the concept of object permanence was studied by Swiss psychologists? Or do you think both of them are supporting sentences? What do you think? It's both basically, right? Both of them are like supporting sentences. We don't have a concluding sentence there. Yes? Right? More or less that is the case, right? We don't have a concluding sentence here because, and this is the case with most of the, um, academic texts, right? When you're describing an object, usually people do not go for a clear cut or a straightforward uh, concluding sentence. They just write the supporting sentences and be done with it. So in this case, you have both the first and the second statements as your supporting sentence. Okay, there is no concluding sentence there. Okay, all right. Okay, there is, what do we do? So we are at 5:15. Do you want to take up the cohesion and thing tomorrow along with descriptive writing, or do you want to continue today? Yeah, no opinions. How do you want to go about with this? Maybe we'll just discuss that as well, why to drag it to tomorrow, because at least tomorrow then we can do some descriptive writing, right? Maybe I'll just discuss the unity coherence thing and stop for today. Signposting and maybe even signposting, I'll just show you. So from strategies, maybe we can start for tomorrow. Okay. So just two things, very short. It will not take more than 10 minutes to do that. After you have the components in place, then the next two important processes that I was referring to, which makes the paragraph, wholesome thing, right? Something that looks like a paragraph or makes you feel like a paragraph, are two different processes. It's called unity, and the second one is coherence, right? What is unity? Unity is basically, the quality of a paragraph where, say you have 10 sentences in a paragraph, right? Or say 5 sentences in a paragraph. Now, when you say that your paragraph should have unity, what we mean is that all these 5 sentences or 6 sentences or whatever that number is, right? All the 5 or 6 of them need to talk and point towards the same idea, right? A single idea. You can't have multiple ideas presented by the different sentences in a paragraph. All the sentences in that paragraph should be talking about that topic alone, that single main idea, right? If there is anything that is not falling in this line, then we call that an irrelevant sentence, right? It doesn't fit to the topic or the idea that we are discussing, right? So unity ensures that the writer stays on the topic and the idea that is being discussed. So you ensure that all the other sentences, uh, in one sense or the other, talks about the topic and the main idea, right? Whatever it is doing, whether adding or explaining or proving, whatever the case is, whatever support they are providing, you ensure that the support is in line with what is being spoken about, the topic and the main idea, right? So this is called unity. If this is available, if all the sentences are doing this work, then we say that the paragraph is unified or there is unity in the paragraph. And unity basically here refers to the unity of the idea. Okay. What is coherence on the other hand? Coherence is basically ensuring that there's a logical continuity. So say I have 5 sentences, right, about a topic. It's all pointing towards the same idea. It is a single idea that is representing. But then there is a problem with this organization, right? In the sense that something that I should have told first is sitting at the end of the paragraph. Something that I should have said in the middle of the paragraph is sitting at the first, position in the paragraph, right? So in sense, to put it plainly across, you see that there is scrambling or there is something like, you feel that there is a jumbled way of having presented that, right? You probably will remember, maybe back in school or somewhere, this was one of the activities that was given to you to work out, right? They'll give you jumbled paragraph sentences, and they'll ask you to arrange it in order to make it a sensible paragraph. So it is directly connected to that. So there shouldn't be a jumbling in the way you present your idea. Your one sentence, when it moves from one to the second sentence or the third sentence, from the third to the fourth sentence, there should be a logical continuity in how you're writing or how you're putting the thoughts together, right? What has to be said first has to go first. What has to be said last has to go last, right? So you cannot randomly arrange your sentences together and say that, oh, okay, I have a paragraph here, right? Even if it is talking all the sentences unified and is talking about the main idea, their ordering or their arrangement or the organization should be in such a way that there is a logical continuity. There's a smooth flow from one to the next sentence. Okay. This is not just applicable in the case of sentences in a paragraph, within a paragraph. It is also applicable when you move from one paragraph to the next paragraph in a longer form of write-up, like an essay, right? Essays that have multiple paragraphs, even between the paragraphs, you need to ensure that there is coherence. And if you're talking about a single paragraph, then this coherence is a logical flow from one sentence to the next, right? How do you achieve that? Like we discussed in the beginning, you arrange information in a certain order and pattern so that this logical continuity is maintained. So you either arrange it spatially, you use a temporal fashion of arrangement, or you chronologically arrange the details given to you. Depending on what topic is at hand and what you're writing about, you can arrange your information in such a way that there is a logical continuity. Okay, so these are the two important factors that you need to ensure along with the components of the paragraph to write an effective paragraph. First one is unity and the second is coherence. Okay. Now, how do you achieve unity and coherence? Of course, using the language, right? Particularly for coherence, to maintain, logical flow, you can use certain linguistic devices, which are basically phrases or words or sometimes even sentences, to bridge between the, to link these two sentences or make them act as a bridge between these two sentences so that this flow is maintained, right? So you have examples on screen. Single words like, consequently, however, although, furthermore, so on and so forth. Short phrases like in contrast to, on the other hand. Whole sentences like, having looked at the advantages of wearing a mask. Okay. This is, I think, more than sentences, we should call it a clause, right? Whole clauses can sometimes be used to bridge between the previous sentence and the next sentence. Okay. So this is what is called linguistic signposting. So you use these words, phrases, and sentences as signposters. Signpost basically means linking, okay, linkers or connectors. You use them to signpost so that the reader can move from the given sentence to the next sentence in a logical fashion. Okay, that is what it means. On your screen are few examples of how, more examples of how you can use them in sentences, in paragraphs. So you have examples when you want to add more ideas, right? When you want to compare and contrast ideas. These are all phrases and words that you can. This is not an exhaustive list, okay? This is some of the things that are put together just to give you an idea and example of how it works. Of course, the list can be much longer than this with more number of words and phrases. This is just to, show you how these function in a paragraph, right? So to add more ideas, you can use linkers. Some of the examples are given on screen. To compare and contrast ideas, to prove something, to show exceptions, right? You use these transition devices or linking devices so that the flow is maintained, right? To emphasize something, to give an example, to show the order of things, right? So rather than, abruptly giving an example, you can link the sentence to the example sentence by saying, so for example, or in this case, or in particular, or notably. This sort of alerts the reader that, okay, now I'm going to read something that will explain what has been written. That is what is called. So when you talk about logical flow, this is all we mean, right? That from sentence A to sentence B, I I'm able to build a connect, right? I know what is going to come next. I'm informed beforehand what I'm going to read next. I'm alerted, or I have better understanding of what is going to come next because of a phrase or a small word that has been used, right? This is called signposting. And what do signposting do? Signposting ensures that coherence is enabled in the sentences, between the sentences or between the paragraphs. Okay. So yeah, this is about that. Strategies of unification and other things we'll discuss tomorrow. This is all for today. I also have to leave someplace. I'm not going to talk further today. But make sure that you don't have any confusions in this part, right? So before we move to descriptive, because we're not going to talk about all of this again. All of what we discussed now are applicable to any form of writing, whether descriptive or narrative or whatever it is. Okay, these are the basics. Any form of writing, professional, creative, literary, technical, research. These are the basic parts. Any form of writing you take, you have to ensure that these basic portions are covered. Everything else is just a matter of style, right? It's just a difference of how you approach something based on the topic at hand and based on who your audience is or based on the medium that you're writing. There could be differences, but this is the basic that we'll take up for any kind of. Okay, so I'll stop here for today. We'll meet again tomorrow and take up some activities and explain. Maybe say first half an hour we'll talk about descriptive writing and then do some writing. Okay. If you have any questions, you may, but otherwise, I think we can mostly wind it for today. Okay. Anything? Any questions, or are we good for today? Shall I wrap up for today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. We'll meet again tomorrow, same time, 4 to 5:30. Okay. See you again.
Thank you.
Sorry. No problem.